FC Barcelona was riding high on success both on and off the pitch. They had a squad full of superstars, a trophy cabinet that needed constant expansion, and bank accounts that would make Scrooge McDuck jealous. But as we all know, pride comes before a fall, and boy did Barça fall hard. Remember when Paris Saint-Germain swooped in and snatched Neymar from Barcelona's loving arms for a cool 222 million euros in 2017? Barça fans were devastated, but the club's accountants were doing cartwheels. "We're rich!" they cried, probably while diving into a pool of gold coins like the aforementioned McDuck. Little did they know this windfall would become a financial sandstorm that would leave them gasping for air and euros. With pockets full of Neymar money, Barça decided to go on a shopping spree that would make even the Kardashians blush. They splurged on players like Ousmane Dembele, 105 million euros, Philippe Coutinho, 160 million euros, and Antoine Griezmann, 120 million euros. It was like watching a kid in a candy store with their parents' credit card. Exciting at first, but you know it will end in tears and a stern talking to. Now, here's where things get interesting, and by interesting we mean face-palmingly ridiculous. Despite selling Neymar for a record fee and bringing in boatloads of revenue from their global brand, Barça somehow managed to go from Scrooge McDuck rich to Oliver Twist poor, faster than you can say financial mismanagement. It looks like they took all that money, put it in a hat, waved a wand, and poof, it disappeared. Instead of pulling a rabbit out of the hat, they pulled out a mountain of debt. Ta-da! By 2021, Barca's debt had ballooned to over 1.35 billion euros. That's not a typo, we're talking billions, with a big B. To put that into perspective, that's enough money to buy about 13.5 million Barcelona jerseys, or 270 million servings of patatas bravas. Talk about a financial hangover. In the summer of 2021, Barca fans woke up to a nightmare. Lionel Messi, the club's greatest player ever, was leaving. Why? Because the club couldn't afford to keep him. It was like watching your rich uncle suddenly declare he couldn't afford Christmas presents because he spent all his money on magic beans. The sight of Messi in a PSG jersey was enough to make grown men cry, and accountants reach for the nearest bottle of antacids. Just when all seemed lost, in rode Joan Laporta on his white horse, or more likely in his luxury car. Laporta, who had previously served as Barca's president during its golden years, was back to save the day. His campaign slogan might as well have been, "Make Barcelona great again," but with less controversy and more tapas. Laporta's grand plan to rescue Barca from financial ruin involved economic levers. Now, if you're picturing Laporta in a hard hat pulling giant levers in some sort of financial factory, you're not alone. But alas, it's slightly more complicated and far less visually entertaining. Those levers involved the selling off parts of the club's future earnings for immediate cash. It's kind of like pawning your grandmother's jewelry to pay rent. Sure, it solves the immediate problem, but Christmas dinner is going to be awkward for years to come. In Laporta's latest attempt to boost Barca's finances, he's been engaged in a high-stakes game of chicken with Nike, the club's longtime kit supplier. The goal? To squeeze more money out of the deal, or find a new sponsor willing to pay top dollar for the privilege of slapping their logo on Barca's shirts. It's like watching a couple argue over who's going to pay for dinner, except instead of dinner, it's millions of euros, and instead of a couple, it's a global sports brand, and a debt-ridden football club. Romantic, isn't it? In a move that had fans scratching their heads, Barca signed a sponsorship deal with Spotify. Now, instead of make un club, more than a club, their motto might as well have been make un playlist, more than a playlist. At least now, when the team hits a rough patch, fans can create a Barcelona blues playlist to cope with their feelings. Part of Laporta's master plan involves renovating Camp Nou, Barca's iconic stadium. The idea is that a shiny new stadium will bring in more revenue. It's a bit like remodeling your kitchen in the hopes that it'll magically make you a better cook. But hey, at least the selfies will look great. With money tight and big-name signings off the table, Barca has turned to its famed youth academy, La Masia, to fill out the squad. It's heartwarming to see young talents like Gavi and Pedri shine, but also a bit like watching your parents cancel cable and tell you to go play outside instead. Remember when Barça used to strike fear into the hearts of European opponents? Now they're more likely to inspire pity, or worse, indifference. Their recent Champions League performances have been about as impressive as a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, and the rabbit is clearly stuffed. To add insult to injury, Barca's arch-rivals, Real Madrid, seem to be doing just fine, thank you very much, while Barça is scrounging for coins in the couch cushions. Madrid is casually dropping 100 million euros on players like it's pocket change. It's enough to make a culé turn as blue as their team's away kit. Every transfer window is now a delicate dance for Barcelona. They need to strengthen the team, but they also need to balance the books. It's like trying to do grocery shopping with only the coins you found in your car's cup holder. You might be able to afford a snack, but a full meal is out of the question. Thanks to La Liga's strict financial rules, Barça now has to perform more calculations than a rocket scientist just to register new players. It's gotten so complicated that the club might need to hire Stephen Hawking's ghost as a financial advisor. Just look at Olmo's inclusion in the squad. At one point, the poor soul would have wondered if he would ever get registered. Remember when Barça was so noble they had UNICEF on their shirts for free? Now they're more likely to partner with Uncle Bob's Discount Mattress Emporium if the price is right. It's a far cry from the days when the club prided itself on being more than a club. Now it's more like more than a billboard, but just barely. Barca's unique ownership structure means that fans, socios, have a say in the club's affairs. These days, that say mostly involves being asked to open their wallets wider and wider. It's like being part of an exclusive club where the main perk is getting to pay more for the privilege of worrying about the club's finances. As if La Liga's rules weren't enough, Barça must also navigate UEFA's financial fair play regulations. It's like trying to pass an exam where the questions keep changing, the pencil keeps breaking, and the examiner gives you the evil eye the whole time. In a move straight out of a Hollywood accounting playbook, Barça created Barça Studios and then sold parts of it to raise quick cash. It's the financial equivalent of creating an imaginary friend and then selling them for pocket money. Genius or desperate? You decide. At one point, there was talk of floating part of Barca's media business on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange because nothing says stable investment quite like a football club that's billions in debt, right? It's like trying to get a loan by showing the bank your collection of football stickers. In a twist that nobody saw coming, Barça partnered with catering company Aramark to help plug their financial holes. Who knew that the secret to football success was better hot dogs? Next, we'll probably see them partnering with a vacuum cleaner company to help clean up their finances. In a move that smacks both of desperation and nostalgia, Barça brought back club legend Javi as manager. It's a bit like getting back together with your high school sweetheart and hoping they can solve all your adult problems. Spoiler alert, they probably can't, but at least the fans were happy. Now they've moved on to Hansi Flick and are actually doing fine. Despite their financial woes, Barça still occasionally floats the idea of signing superstars like Kylian Mbappe. It's adorable, really, like a kid with €5 in their piggy bank dreaming of buying a Ferrari. Dream big, Barça, dream big! Well, Mbappe went to Madrid and Barça will again look at La Masia to solve some of their problems this season. With big money signings off the table, Barça has rediscovered the magic of La Masia, their famed youth academy. It's heartwarming to see homegrown talents shine, but also a bit like your parents canceling your allowance and telling you to start a lemonade stand instead. As Barça tries to squeeze every last euro out of their operations, ticket prices have naturally gone up. It's gotten so bad that some fans are considering taking out mortgages just to attend El Clásico. Maybe they should rename it El Clasexpensivo? In their quest for cash, Barça has gone into merchandise overdrive. You can now buy everything from Barça-branded toasters to garden gnomes. Next up, Barça-branded financial advice books. Chapter 1, How Not to Manage a Football Club's Finances. When all else fails, there's always loans. Barça has become quite friendly with banks lately. It's like they're trying to set a Guinness World Record for most creative ways to accumulate debt. At this rate, they might need to rename the club to FC Barcelona. Despite all the doom and gloom, there are signs that Barça might be slowly turning things around. They're back in the Champions League, they've got some exciting young players, and they haven't sold the stadium for scrap metal yet. Is this the beginning of a Barcelona renaissance, or just a brief respite before the next financial crisis? Only time will tell. In the meantime, Barça fans can take solace in the fact that no matter how bad things get financially, at least they're not Arsenal. Now that's what you call a silver lining.